My name is Dave Yates. I'm the Director of Communications for the East Irondequoit Central School District. Joining us today are Town Supervisor David Seeley, Officer Laird, and Officer Reed from the Irondequoit Police Department. This morning at approximately 9:45, we received a threat aimed at Eastridge. We immediately went into our emergency response protocol, deemed the threat to be serious enough that we evacuated the building. We had notified 911. Had all the students evacuated. We had buses come over from our transportation department. We loaded all the buses and staff on from Eastridge High School and took them over to the Ridge Culvert Plaza. The Irondequoit Police Department, State Police, Monroe County, other first responders then came to the school and conducted their investigation. At that point, I'll let Officer Laird take over.
How you doing? Captain Laird with the Irondequoit Police Department. We were notified about 9:45 of a threat at Eastridge High School. Upon arrival, the school had begun their evacuation process. First responding units assisted with that process with the school district. The IPD, during the course of the investigation, reached out to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and the Rochester Police Department for assistance with some specially trained canine units. Those units did respond and assist with the search of the building. The Webster Police Department and New York City Police Department also assisted with the evacuation procedure at the Ridge Culvert Plaza, where the students were being kept on buses. After an extensive search of the school, the school was deemed safe. There were lengthy conversations during this process, not only with the school district, but with the officers and the inside the building. We're 100% confident that the school was safe at that point. The students were allowed to return to the school. That happened about 40 minutes ago, where the students were returned to the school. The Irondequoit Police Department wishes to thank the East Irondequoit Central School District for their cooperation in this investigation, as well as Monroe County Sheriff's Office, New York State Police, Rochester Police Department, and the Webster Police Department for their assistance. Thank you.
What threat? What type of threat was received?
So, due to the fact this is an ongoing investigation, we're going to just limit it to there was a threat at the school, because it is a very integral portion of the investigation, so we're not going to release that information at this point.
You can't say if it was, say, a weapon or a bomb threat or anything like that?
Not at this time.
Can you say how you received the threat?
We were notified by the school district that there was a threat.
Okay, but you didn't hear how the threat was made?
We have that information, but again, as being a part of the investigation, it's an integral point, so we're not going to release that information at this time.
Can you explain the evacuation process? Because we were hearing some social media stuff that kids were told to just leave everything there, just their bags, everything, and just get out. Can you explain how that process unfolded?
So the evacuation process was handled by the school district. We assisted. It was already in the progress while when we responded. So I'll answer a couple questions, and I'll turn it back over to Mr. Yates to answer that question.
When you say you went through, I mean, I'm assuming you did a room-by-room sweep?
Yes.
Yeah. And what goes into that as far as you have the dogs in? Could you just kind of walk us through what goes into that process?
Sure. So the Sheriff's Office and Rochester Police Department, their canine units were on scene. They were teamed up with a member of the Irondequoit Police Department, as well as a member of school district staff, primarily security staff, at which point they went through the building room by room, area by area, and deemed as they went through, they deemed each area safe.
Did they go through the bags and everything too, lockers, anything like that, or just?
Just at this point, we're just going to release that we searched the school.
Okay.
Dave, could you address, do you think, what was different about this threat that made you evacuate the school versus just keeping it in lockdown?
I think it was just once it got to a point where it was just the nature of the threat was one that we felt that it was better we were extremely cautious. I mean, we were just, in the nature of the world today, I think erring on the side of caution is probably the best course that we could take, and that's what we decided to do. I think it was, I do have to say that the law enforcement was fantastic. The cooperation and their expediency in getting there and following through with everything and being so thorough was absolutely fantastic. And our parents too. Once you know, there was a lot of misinformation going out, as always happens, and once we kind of got the word out, and when they called and we responded to them, they were understanding, and their kids were safe, and that was the bottom line, and that was what we were shooting for, was to make sure the kids were safe, and our staff, and that's what we did. That was the end game that we were going for.
Was this a threat that was discovered somewhere in the building, or was it a threat that was made to someone specific?
Well, as the officer said, that's part of the investigation that I don't really want to go into. So,
Were they in lock? What mode were they in?
we were in a hold in place, and then we went from the hold in place to the evacuation. So hold in place is where they're kept in their classrooms, and then once the next step is determined what we're going to go to, then that's what happened, and went straight to an evacuation.
How long did the hold in place last?
Hold in place was approximately 20 minutes.
So the hold in place was just so you guys could come up with the best course of action?
Exactly. Once we determined that there was a threat, then we put them in a hold in place, and then went to an evacuation.
You know, I talked to some parents who were all pretty happy with how everything was handled. That I know you guys practice these things
Yeah.
all the time, but they thought it went pretty smoothly. It was pretty orderly. Can you explain what was going on over across the street there? Because there were a lot of people there.
It didn't feel orderly on our end, just because you're always got that nagging in the back of your mind. What did we miss? What was happening? I mean, there were certain things that you can never be fully prepared, I think, for something like this. But the fact that our transportation department was so capable and able to get the buses there as quickly as we could on a day like this, we were kind of stuck as to where could we put the kids, where could we send them, and putting them on the buses. While it was not an ideal situation, I think considering the situation, it was about as close as we could get.
Did you run into any issues along the way? I mean, I saw a couple parents.
There were a couple of parents, and it was a matter of, you know, if some parents didn't have ID to take their child off the bus, we were allowing them to get off the bus with their parent or legal guardian. Honestly, one of the biggest situations to pop up early was, can we go to the bathroom? How do you get the kids off the bus to go to the bathroom? They've been in a hold in a place for a while, and then they were on the buses for a while, and nature kind of comes calling. So that was one of the things that we had to kind of deal with. So it's, you know, things like that come up.
And this is your plan. So if you evacuate the school, is this the game plan? You put them on buses and take them here, or is it on a case-by-case basis?
It's generally a case-by-case basis. With a school like Eastridge, since it is so big, we can't take them to another school. We have evacuated schools in the past, not for threats of this nature, but there was a suspected gas leak a few years ago at one of our schools, and we transported that to another school because they could accommodate it. Because Eastridge has so many students, we don't really have another building that could accommodate that many kids and staff at one time.
So has an evacuation, is that part, I know you practice the hold in place, the lockdowns, the lockouts, right?
Right.
How about evacuations?
Evacuations we don't practice, especially an entire school, to dump a whole school like that. And I was there when it was taking place, and to see as organized and as smoothly as it went was really something that I think our staff and the students of the school should be really proud of, because they handled it with, you know, I think the seriousness and the nature hit home for them when they were in the hold in place for a while, and they really they held themselves accountable, and they really did a good job doing what needed to be done to make sure everything was done safely and efficiently.
Do you think what happened in California this week rattled people a little bit more even? You know, I mean, that is on the minds of some people.
I think this is something that's on the minds of everyone every day, and when something like what happens in California yesterday occurs, it's going to make it even more, bring it more to the front of your mind. And to have this immediately following that, I think just makes it more pertinent that, you know, we have to be ready for any situation, no matter what occurs. And I think the school and the district held itself up to those standards today, and I think the law enforcement response, as I said, was just exemplary. I couldn't speak higher of the way they came, and the way it was just, you know, basically, what do you guys need? That's what I was hearing over the radios from the other law enforcement, and when they show up, where you need us, what do you want us to do? It was great. It was great to see.
A lot of the kids mentioned what happened in Florida yesterday as sort of heightening their nervousness about what happened. What are the conversations with them on Monday after, you know, after they experienced, you know, some of the parents were crying, some of them were running back and
Yep.
forth, some of the kids were upset. So I'm assuming that there's probably follow-up discussion.
And there will be follow-up discussion. There will be obviously be counseling available for students who might need that extra little bit of support. I think it's something that the staff at Eastridge is very cognizant of, and I think they'll take the lead as far as, our principal Tim Hafey there is very, very aware of the social and emotional well-being of our kids, and it's something that's first and foremost on his mind and the faculty's mind there and the staff. And I think that'll be something that on Monday, once we kind of debrief everything and go through everything, what's the best approach as far as helping the kids to deal with this.
And you mentioned that this is still an active case. Do you have any suspects? Do you have, is it a criminal? Are you looking at the criminal case here?
Well, we're looking at all aspects of the investigation. Obviously, anytime that there is a threat, there is the potential for criminal charges to be filed. We're going to be working through that, through the investigation, through the information learned from the school district, and then making determinations after we have gathered all the evidence.
I don't really know where East Irondequoit stands with school resource officer. Is there anybody on site, or have you discussed this option?
Currently, the Irondequoit Police Department does not have any school resource officers. What we do have is a program for our rural patrol officers to walk through assigned schools throughout their work day, through their work week. It's called the Adopt a School program. We have majority of our officers are assigned to go into the schools and just make themselves familiar not only with the staff but with the students as well as the layout of the school.
Was there any officer at East Irondequoit when this happened?
When it occurred, no, we all responded after the call to 911.
Well, it's a tricky subject, because there are some politicians and police officials who do believe in having armed school resource officers at the schools, and it's one of those real hot-button issues. But is that something you think the town, the school district, the police might take a look at any point, or have you already?
There's always the opportunity for conversations to occur about that. Obviously, there are many different things that go into it between what the school district's needs are, what the police department is able to offer as far as staffing, as well as what the ability for funding is for that. So there's a lot of different aspects. There's conversations that have happened recently, and obviously conversations that will always continue. If there's nothing else, thank you.
For the kids that went home, some of them went home, some of them went back, did they get to have the rest of the day? I was like...
Well, we had a bunch of there that were getting ready to
It was so pretty much school stuff.